parents said they'd be back by midnight, but the clock struck 1, and the house wasn't empty. I was 17 when I got the call. It was a rainy Thursday evening, and I remember I was curled up on the couch watching old horror flicks when my phone buzzed. A woman named Mrs. Holloway, someone my mum had met through a local community group, was looking for a last-minute babysitter. Her regular sitter had cancelled, and she needed someone to watch her 2 kids that night. I hesitated. I didn't know her, didn't know the family, but she offered $120 for just 4 hours, cash, and said the house was only a 10-minute drive away, too easy to turn down. She gave me the address and said, "Don't worry if we're not home when you get there. The door will be unlocked. Just go in. The kids will be upstairs. They've already had dinner. Just keep an eye until we're back." It was a little weird, but I told myself people are just different. Maybe she was in a rush. Maybe this was normal for some families. By 7:15, I was standing outside a tall, narrow house at the end of a long, wooded road. It looked off. The porch light flickered like it was struggling to stay alive, and none of the windows were lit from inside. Still, just 4 hours, I reminded myself. I pushed the front door open. It creaked, long and low, like something out of a horror movie, and stepped into the dark. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. The air inside felt stale, thick, like no one had been there in a while. I flipped the hall light on. The bulb above buzzed, then dimly lit up a narrow corridor with old wallpaper peeling at the edges. I should have left, right then, but I didn't. The floorboards creaked under my feet as I walked toward the staircase. I called out again. "Kids, it's me, the babysitter. Your mum sent me." Still no reply. Upstairs, the hallway stretched into darkness, with 3 doors on either side and 1 at the end. All were slightly ajar. I could hear the ticking of a clock, but no movement, no giggling, no footsteps, just silence. I stepped into the first room on the left. Empty. Just an old guest room, dusty and untouched. The bed was made, but the sheets looked like they hadn't been washed in months. There was a doll sitting upright on the chair in the corner. Its eyes seemed to follow me. I moved on. The second room had what looked like a child's bed. Small, pink comforter and plush toys neatly stacked near the pillow. But the air felt cold in there, unnaturally cold. I checked the window, closed, the vent, nothing. Then I noticed it. The closet door was cracked open. I swallowed hard and walked over slowly, gently pulling it open. Empty. But behind the closet wall, I swear I heard a light tap-tap, like tiny fingers on wood. I backed away. That's when I heard it. A soft creak coming from the end of the hallway. I turned and saw the last door, the one that had been shut, was now slightly open. I hadn't touched it, and I was sure it was closed just seconds ago. I took a slow step forward, my heart hammering in my chest. "Hello? Are you in there?" Silence. I pushed the door open just a little more. It let out a moan as it moved. Inside was another bedroom, but this one was strange. The walls were covered in children's drawings, but they weren't normal drawings. They were black crayon scribbles. Figures with long arms, hollow faces, and what looked like screaming mouths. One figure was drawn again and again in every corner of the room. It wasn't a child's room. It felt like a warning, and I was already inside. I stepped back from the drawings, a cold sweat forming at the back of my neck. Something about this room felt wrong, like I had walked into a memory that wasn't mine and wasn't meant to be touched. That's when my phone rang. The sudden vibration nearly made me drop it. I pulled it out of my pocket, hoping it was Mrs. Holloway finally checking in. No caller ID. I hesitated, then answered. There was no voice, just breathing, shallow, erratic, like someone trying not to be heard, but breathing way too close to the receiver. "Hello," I said. Still nothing. Then a faint whisper. "Why did you come back?" Click. The call ended. My hands were shaking. I backed out of the room, pulling the door shut behind me. I turned to head downstairs when I heard it. The sound of running footsteps across the floor below. Fast, heavy, like someone sprinting from one room to another. But I hadn't seen anyone when I came in. I slowly crept to the top of the stairs and peeked down. Nothing. The hallway was empty, the front door still slightly ajar, just like I'd left it. Then something moved. At the bottom of the stairs, just outside the frame of the front door's light, a figure, small, standing completely still. I squinted. It was a child. I let out a breath of relief for a split second. Maybe one of the kids. But then they lifted their head and their eyes caught the light. Not white, not brown, glowing, yellow, like a cat caught in headlights. But human. The child at the bottom of the stairs didn't move. I stood frozen, staring down at those glowing eyes, every instinct in my body screaming to run, but I couldn't. I was locked in place, like I was being studied, weighed. Then, slowly, the child turned and walked into the living room. I forced myself to move. Step by shaky step, I made my way down. "Hey!" I called out, trying to sound calm. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" No answer. I turned into the living room and froze. It was empty. I was sure the kid had walked in there. There was no sound, no door opening or closing. Just the same still room with old furniture and dust in the air. Then my phone buzzed again, another call. This time, it showed a number, Mrs. Holloway. I snatched it up. "Hello?" A pause. Then, a woman's voice. "Who is this?" This is the babysitter. You asked me to come to your house and watch the kids." Another pause. Then, "That's not possible. We haven't lived there for over 2 years. My husband and I, our children died in that house." Silence. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, heart pounding, and slowly turned back toward the living room, only to find the child standing in the hallway again, staring up at me, unmoving. Then he smiled. Not a sweet, innocent smile, but a wide, unnatural grin that stretched too far across his face. And then, he vanished. Gone. Like, he was never there. I didn't think. I just ran, out the door, into the night, didn't stop until I reached my car, drove home, and never looked back. The next day, I tried to call the number again, disconnected. I went to the house a week later with a friend. It was boarded up, windows sealed, door chained shut. No lights, no signs of life. Just like Mrs. Holloway said. They never came back, and neither will I. Subscribe to Midnight Whisperz for more nightly horror. If you dare. New terrifying tales drop every night to keep you up and questioning every sound in the dark.